Hey Siri, how many species of animals are there on Earth?
1,371,428.
Wow, that sure is a lot, but you'd be more glad about the ones who aren't here. I'm Bob from World 5 List, and join me as I take you through 9 animals that you're going to be glad are extinct. Number 9. The dinosaurs. Now, I begin my list with something that everyone's dreamed of, but we're basically actually glad that they aren't around anymore. The dinosaurs. I'm not gonna lie, I could have easily filled up this list with various dinosaurs, and we all should be glad they're not around, but to be fair to other creatures, I decided to lump them all together. So why should we be glad that dinosaurs are extinct? Well, it's really simple. It's because they're massive, they were numerous, and they had different ways of moving around. Many of them can actually be hostile. Now, yes, beings like the Stegosaurus, the Triceratops, and even the Brachiosaurus and more were very much herbivores and would only attack when they were threatened. That's good and all, but there were also pterodactyls and velociraptors, and of course, the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex. Anyone who's seen any of the Jurassic World saga knows how dangerous that it can be to live in a world with dinosaurs. They'd have to be contained in order for us to survive, and even then it's not a guarantee, as anyone who's watched the movies can attest to. Plus, because of their genetics, the creatures would not be easy to kill, especially if they come at you in swarms like the raptors or pterodactyls would. Add to that, we're not even touching some of the dinosaurs that lived under the water, or other species that were actually more terrifying than the T-Rex. Imagine that one. So yeah, it would be cool to ride a Triceratops, or maybe even to have a pet raptor, but the world is likely better off without these creatures that make up our nightmare fuel. Number 8. Sarcosuchus. A lot of creatures on my list you're going to find are larger versions of animals that currently live within the world. A great example of this is the Sarcosuchus. And while you may be laughing at the name, you won't be laughing when I tell you how massive the creature was. Today, the world's largest crocodile is over 20 feet long, but the Sarcosuchus, however, was a massive 40 feet long. And if that's not impressive enough for you, then take note that the weight of the beast was around 8 metric tons. This thing was a massive beast through and through, and killing it must have truly been an act of God. Now, can you imagine just going through a river and then seeing this beast emerge from the depths? The fear alone would have likely killed you, and even then, the Sarcosuchus would have just enjoyed the leftovers. Thankfully, it's not around anymore, and we can focus on the still very large but much more manageable crocodiles within our own world. Number 7. MEGANEURA. And now something straight out of my and your nightmares. The ancient world was full of bugs and other insect-like creatures that would scare anyone today, but one of the most surprisingly large ones was the MEGANEURA, or put more simply, a gigantic dragonfly. Now, on their own, dragonflies can be really scary. They're big and they sting and they're really loud and they buzz all around you. But just try to imagine a few-inch long dragonfly being about 2 foot long with a wingspan about the same length or the size of a small child. That's scary beyond all reason. And in fact, the MEGANEURA is one of the largest confirmed insects on the fossil record, proving that they not only existed, but they were huge. Try and imagine the sound that the massive dragonfly would make. Can you hear it? It must have sounded like an engine of some sort, and it would have to be flapping its wings really fast just to stay afloat in the air with all of that weight. Thankfully for humans though, even if they were alive today, they primarily ate bugs and amphibians. However, I'm just grateful they're not around so they can't change their diet. Number 6. Megalodon and Leviathan. But before I get going too far, if you're not subscribed yet and you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications, because I'd love to bring you more awesome videos like this one in the future. Now, the oceans of our world are home to some of the greatest mysteries of time, especially when it comes to the fact that we really still don't know all of the creatures that lived here. I'm putting the megalodon and the leviathan together for a few reasons. Number one, they were some of the biggest predatory creatures that the oceans had ever known, and two, they were actually rivals, which in itself is a scary thought. And three, it's honestly best just to put them together, that way some other extinct animals can have a spotlight as well. The megalodon is by and large the biggest shark that's ever been recorded. It was massive and makes an even mighty great white shark look tiny in comparison. At their maximum, these creatures could grow up to 53 feet long, which is all kinds of terrifying if you ask me. It was also the king of the ocean in a lot of ways, though the Leviathan could actually give it a run for its money. And if Leviathan sounds kind of familiar, well, it was actually named after the mythical creature known as Leviathan, and for good reason. The creature could be nearly 51 feet long itself and had the body of a whale with the attack instincts of a shark. The bones of the Leviathan indicate that the creature did have the largest teeth that were ever used for eating, and that means they were actually bigger than the megalodons. Either way you slice it, these two massive monsters of the oceans are really things that we should be grateful are not here anymore. Because if they were still around, nobody would ever go into the ocean again. Number 5. ANDREWSARCHUS. It's stated to be the largest predatory mammal in history. And note, I did say mammal. These beasts do kind of resemble hyenas, as well as other certain modern-day creatures, but most scientists really can't agree as to what they actually did look like. But there is plenty of speculation. Most of that speculation revolves around how large the creature was and how heavy it weighed, with most agreeing that it was likely about 4,000 pounds. However, just because it's a predator doesn't mean it's necessarily aggressive. In fact, some scientists actually believe that the ANDREWSARCHUS could have been both a carnivore and an herbivore. What's more, it might even have been a scavenger, which would be a surprise given its size. Now honestly, there are way too many unknowns. We only know it existed because of the bones that have been found, but aside from that, it's still a mystery. No matter what it really was, or wasn't, a 4,000-pound dog-cat hybrid is something that I'm really glad isn't on Earth right now. And you probably should be too. I mean, what was the thing? Number 4. THYLACINE. Now we go to something a little more recent. The thylacine is a creature you likely haven't heard of, but it's also one that died within the last century. The thylacine is a member of the marsupial family, which might make you think that the creature's kind of cute and cuddly and all, but that's where you'd be wrong, because the thylacine was actually an apex predator and something to be feared. The nickname for the thylacine was the Tasmanian tiger, but also the Tasmanian wolf, mainly because it looked like it was made out of different things. However, regardless of whether you feel it was a cat or a wolf, the creature was a vicious predator and earned its way to the top of the food chain. As a carnivore that resided in areas like Australia and New Zealand, the thylacine would find prey in the form of kangaroos, wallabies, wombats, and even emus. Scientists believe that the way the thylacine's body was constructed allowed it to outlast its opponents in a chase and gave it the advantage that it needed to get its dinner. And as for why it became extinct, many blame the expansion of humanity into its habitat for its numbers dropping off, and even more so, humans thought that the creature was a rare prize, so bounties were actually put on its head. Even more funny, there are some people who think that the thylacine is still alive, but it's only speculation and rumor, although there has been some chat about it being cloned back into existence. Number 3. PULMONOSCORPIUS. Now we go right back into my nightmares, yay! PULMONOSCORPIUS isn't around anymore. It was a massive scorpion that was said to be nearly 3 feet long. That's a really big scorpion, and I want absolutely none of it. It was first discovered via fossils in Scotland, of all places, and scientists believe that it existed over 300 million years ago. The problem that I have with the creature is that if it is actually almost 3 feet long, that means that its tail and stinger must have been massive. Forget about the sting. The stinger probably went right through you and gored you to death. Thankfully, scorpions are much smaller these days, and that's best for all of us. Number 2, the TITANOBOA. I'm honestly terrified of what we dig up from the ground beneath us. For example, in California, bones were found for a snake. The only problem was they were massive and long and ended up being 48 feet in length. That was the TITANOBOA. Now, you do likely know that snakes could grow to be big, but this creature, well, it weighed around 2,500 pounds. And with that distributed along with its massive near 50-foot frame, means that it could put quite a hurting on anything that it deemed to be its prey. It also should be noted that the diameter of the snake was also large, which really makes sense given its weight and size. To that end, it's not really hard to picture that if the snake were alive today and found in California, it would not only be a danger to everything around it, but it could likely swallow up people whole. No, thank you. Number 1, PHORUSRH. Now, you know you're scary when your nickname includes the word terror in it, and that's exactly what PHORUSRH were. Affectionately known as terror birds, they were believed to have lived in South America about 5 million years ago and were the apex predators of their region, and all that's for good reason. Though they were unable to fly, they were incredibly fast and were also 9 feet tall. Their beaks were so big and powerful that they could literally crush their prey within them, which is ironic because they apparently only ate small mammals. However, if you're a 9-foot-tall bird, anything smaller than you is a small mammal, really, which means they could have attacked humans while they were still around. Despite being over 300 pounds, most do agree that their bodies were perfectly suited for running and getting to their prey quickly, and the skull of one of these terror birds was found, measuring 71 centimeters long, making it one of the largest bird skulls ever. Now, in my mind, these are creatures that I'm really glad that I've never had to see, as I wouldn't want any part of them chasing after me in the wilderness. Thanks for watching. Which of the animals on my list are you glad that are extinct? Or do you know some that I should have put on that I left off? Let me know all about it in the comments below. Be sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time.